turning offenders into hero victims, and the amazing case of Dylan Voller. You may have seen Voller this week on this station giving evidence of the Royal Commission into Juvenile Detention in the Northern Territory, claiming that warders and police had tortured and abused him.
I thought I was going to get bashed and seriously injured, or if not killed.
And you may have heard Voller, who reportedly identifies as Aboriginal, praised by the Royal Commissioner, Mick Gooda, himself an Aboriginal activist.
And Mr Voller, like Commissioner White, I'd like to thank you for your evidence here today, for the bravery in coming forward and helping us get through this difficult job that we're asked to do.
Thank you.
His bravery in coming forward. So who is this brave 19-year-old? Why is he giving evidence that's broadcast to the entire nation? Well, Dylan Voller became famous 5 months ago when the ABC made him the star of a documentary which claimed he was the victim of a prison system as evil as Iraq's infamous Abu Ghraib.
There you go. Yep, no worries. All right, you keep chilling out, yeah? Yeah. We'll come back and revisit this, yes? We don't want to keep you in here. Yeah, that was fine. Yeah. That's good. No worries. All right, doing well.
Welcome to Four Corners. The image you've just seen isn't from Guantanamo Bay or Abu Ghraib, but Australia in 2015.
Now, as I've said before and I've shown you, the ABC left out crucial information in its extremely biased and misleading report. For instance, it didn't tell you what looked like a bag on Voller's head was in fact a spit mesh to stop him spitting on guards, as is done hundreds of times. It didn't say that Voller was being restrained because he just threatened yet again to hurt himself, break his own arm this time. Nor did it mention that Voller had more than 50 convictions, including 23 for assaults, including assaults on prison staff. Now, that was bad enough. Worse, watching that ABC report that night was Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, and he believed every word.
Australians were shocked and appalled by the images of mistreatment of children at the Dondale Youth Detention Centre in the Northern Territory.
By the next morning, after that ABC report, just 10 hours later, Turnbull had called a $50 million Royal Commission to investigate the Northern Territory system. I doubt that any Royal Commission in our history has ever been called so fast and on such flimsy evidence. And it gets worse still. The government actually appointed as one of the two Royal Commissioners Mick Gooda, an activist from the Human Rights Commission, even though Gooda had already shown, before a word of evidence was heard, that he was hopelessly biased, had already declared that the whole prison system in the Northern Territory was guilty.
Something's got to be done about the way we lock our people up.
So this Royal Commission, right from the start, seemed, at least to me, a stitch-up, a kangaroo court. Now, if you think that's unfair, see how Voller was treated. Gooda, as I've shown you, even praised him as brave. Praised as brave this young thug who's been found guilty of 23 assaults, including one where he tried to run down a policeman, and another where he bashed, unconscious, a 17-year-old boy he was robbing. And Gooda and the other Royal Commissioner, Margaret White, let this thug give evidence like he was a TV star, a hero, at least in his own mind. And it let him, in his written statement, publicly accuse 31 police and warders of doing terrible things to him.
He's just been standing over me threatening to break my arm as well as threatening to kill me.
But get this, the Royal Commission ruled that none of the 31 officers that Voller had just slimed could cross-examine him on his claims. He could not be directly challenged on his evidence. So Voller was free to grandstand and even to go on to present some of his most aberrant behaviour, his worst behaviour, as simply his response to the cruelty of others.
I was busting to go to the toilet. I'd been asking for it, I think at least 4 or 5 hours. They'd just been saying no. And I ended up having to defecate into a pillowcase. I was just laying down on the chair. I was trying to break the chair so I could at least make it flat. And I was busting, so I ended up pissing in the restraint chair.
Now, I'm afraid the media was hoodwinked by this circus. Take this headline about Voller allegedly being stripped at knife point by guards, his clothes cut from his body with a knife that he feared would slash him, a knife that he identified as a Hoffman knife. Well, let me show you what a Hoffman knife, which is distributed to the Northern Territory Correctional Force, looks like. Here it is. So where is that knife point? This is not a weapon. It's a rescue tool. Now, I'm very sorry for Dylan Voller. His life has been, it's a tragedy. But the Commission is wrong to help to portray him as simply a much-loved boy who was made bad by the system, police and jails.
I had one caseworker I remember was saying that my family didn't really care about me and stuff like that.
You now know, of course, that's not true, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Voller's father allegedly abused him, according to the family, and he left the family when Voller was very young. Moreover, an intelligence report from the Alice Springs Correctional Centre described his mother, accused her of being quite hostile and often aggressive to her son. And Voller was not even made to go to school after he turned 10. His mother dobbed him into police when he was 11. As I said, what's happened to this boy is an absolute tragedy. But if he is a victim, he is first of all a victim of his own family, of his own culture, and of his own actions. So for this Royal Commission to promote him instead as the hero victim of prison officials is a disgrace. And it's dangerous. Since this inquiry was called, there have been attacks on warders in juvenile detention centres across the country, New South Wales, Western Australia, and especially and repeatedly in Victoria. And perhaps it's no wonder. Many of these youths now seem to think they are heroes, untouchable. And the warders, well, which would dare raise a finger to defend themselves physically when they could be smeared as a torturer by the ABC and by the likes of Dylan Voller, the hero victim.